unfolding in Eastern Europe. The Russian attack on Ukraine.
Launching a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Vladimir Putin's
February 24th, 2022. Missiles, rockets, and airstrikes hit across Ukraine. Jewish communities throughout the country were immediately in danger. In Kyiv, Kharkov, Odessa, Chernigov, and Mariupol. Everywhere. Overnight, FJC's social services network was transformed into a rescue operation, working around the clock. Buses, cars, trains, ambulances, and airplanes were used to evacuate more than 40,000 people from dangerous regions of the country. We were able to charter buses and purchase tickets, and even supplied funds to other aid organizations to ensure no one would be left behind. There were two very special rescue operations, the orphanage from Odessa and the orphanage from Zhytomyr. The Rebbitzins and rabbis, family members, and staff risked their lives to save hundreds of children. In both instances, the journey was incredible, spanning several days, traveling with babies, toddlers, youngsters, and teens. All the travelers, young and old, endured unimaginable fear and uncertainty. But today, thanks to ongoing support from our partners, the children are thriving. The home in Odessa has been relocated to Germany, and the one from Zhytomyr is in Israel. After the war began, we established the Jewish Relief Network Ukraine, JRNU, to coordinate and fund the humanitarian efforts in Ukraine. An emergency command center was operating in Israel, with hotlines fielding hundreds of new calls for help each day. Many organizations responded to the war in Ukraine and came to the country to provide much-needed help and support. It quickly became apparent that Chabad was the one group inside Ukraine that had the knowledge, resources, and connections to get things done, help people, save lives. We worked closely with the Israeli government and organizations of all kinds, Jewish and non-Jewish, international and local, to help as many people as possible, as much as possible. In the early days of the war, many people wanted to leave Ukraine while it was still possible to do so, while men aged 18 to 62 were required to remain to support the military. Thousands of women and children evacuated to Romania, Moldova, and Poland. We established refugee centers just across the border in these countries, as well as in various cities in the western part of Ukraine, for those who were unable to leave the country. We provided food to tens of thousands of people, along with medicine and other essentials, including for infants and toddlers. This large-scale humanitarian effort continues today, with food packages, soup kitchens, and grocery store vouchers, prescription medications for heart issues, high blood pressure, and other chronic conditions, medical and mental health care, temporary housing, and much more. Recognizing the need for normalcy in the midst of chaos and stress, large Purim and Passover celebrations were organized for the refugees in Europe, Israel, and Ukraine. Food was donated by generous partners, and the rabbis, staff, and volunteers worked tirelessly to make the events a huge success. In the fall, a great deal of preparation was required to ensure schools could provide in-person learning. Many of the buildings needed repairs, and the government-mandated bomb shelters had to be renovated or constructed, complete with generators, furniture, food, and water. On September 1st, thousands of children streamed into schoolhouses, many carrying colorful backpacks full of supplies and gifts, compliments of JRNU and generous donors. The warm smiles of teachers and classmates were a welcome sight for children who had spent long nights in bomb shelters, traveling across the country to safety, or sitting in their homes, afraid to venture out. In Tishrei, many rabbis returned to their communities for the high holidays, from Kharkov to Odessa, Dnipro to Kiev, Mykolaiv to Lviv, and many more. With help from young volunteers from the United States and Europe, and generous support from the Rohr family, fancy holiday packages were distributed, festive meals were coordinated, and community gatherings were held. The respite from the war was much needed, as people were weary with stress, fear, and uncertainty about the future. Today, while we continue to provide humanitarian aid to more than 35,000 people, we are focused on ensuring the Jews of Ukraine survive the coming winter. With disruptions to the power supply and the lack of potable water, thousands of people's lives are at risk. We have begun purchasing large generators to provide warmth and power to centers where people are lodging. We are digging wells to provide safe water, and we are distributing tens of thousands of winter survival kits to families around the country. Much more remains to be done as funding permits to ensure that no one is left behind.